welcome to another episode of Covered with the Utah FOP. I am your host, Brett Rawson, here with the usual suspects. President, El Presidente, Kevin Murray.
Let's say El Jefe.
I'm fine with El Jefe.
I'll even shave the mustache for it.
No, don't do that. And we do have to talk about your mullet later today.
Hey, everybody's got a little Mississippi leg hound in them.
Looks good. And Executive Director Brent Jacks, how you doing over there?
I'm surviving.
You're looking good, bro. You're all dressed up.
As are you.
Well, I know. We have something special today. It is a special day today.
It is.
What is today?
Well, today we are, even though you're listening to this in February, today is Martin Luther King Day, and the NAACP has invited the FOP to their annual first responder luncheon that they host at Little America on Martin Luther King Day.
That is fantastic. I think that it's fantastic and awesome and, you know, worth spending some time on to talk about the special relationship that the FOP has enjoyed with the NAACP here in Utah. Tell us a little bit about the origins of that and talk about Janetta, if you would.
Yeah, well, really, it all comes down to Janetta.
Yeah.
You know, Janetta Williams, who's the president of the Salt Lake NAACP and the tri-state, I think it's Utah, Idaho, and Nevada. She's just a remarkable person.
Yeah.
You know, she's looked out for us over the years. She's been a great sounding board, a great mentor. And I mean, we differ politically. We differ on a lot of things, but she has a unique understanding of the importance of law enforcement and the role that it plays in the communities and the critical role that it plays in the Black communities.
Yeah.
And she's never been shy about it. And so it's just been a really great relationship.
It is. It's fascinating to me. You know, I mentioned to a family member recently when they asked me what I was going to be doing today on this holiday that I mentioned that the Fraternal Order Police here in Utah had been invited to the NAACP luncheon, and he started laughing. He thought I was beginning a joke. I'm like, no, bro, I'm serious. Like, we're tight. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Why was there surprise? I don't know. I mean, we've I guess because some of the, you know, some people out there, you know, have a narrow view of the relationship between law enforcement and the Black community.
Well, and I think across the country, like I wish that there was a relationship with the NAACP in other states like we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure in a few other states it is, but it's really that collaboration. Back in 2020 at the riots, when the entire country was turning on us, or it seemed like the entire country was turning on us, Janetta reached out, and because of her concern for the cops.
Right, I remember.
You know, it was, and there were some other community members that we had some really good engagement with, but she's just a genuine, sincere person. If she was a manipulative person, she could probably achieve like a ton more, but that's just not her nature. She's just genuine. And even on the points that we disagree on, she doesn't make it a personal thing. She's just one of the most pleasant people to talk to and to engage with.
Yeah.
If we could just take a lesson from that, just society-wide, not to take everything personal just because somebody has a different opinion.
Well, I think she's fantastic. I've gotten to meet her several times, and of course, I know you and she have a good relationship, and it'll be a good afternoon event today. So this is about our third episode that we're on camera. Of course, I'm remembering that as I just picked my nose here on the radio. So I'm sure Travis will help us out and edit all that. I'm sure he will. Speaking of Travis, you know, we were going to talk about some wellness things today, I know, and I was sitting here thinking about health issues, and we were talking in the car about, you know, some of the things that you've discovered recently with iron deficiency and some of that. I want to get to that, but I was laughing as I was considering some some mental health issues that, and I know mental health is not a laughing matter, but particularly as I was reminiscing about phobias, some people are afraid of certain things, and it seems kind of funny sometimes when you sit around talking about it. I know that you don't love heights, right, Brent? I mean, and that's not a laughing matter.
I hate them.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I think you have maybe a story of where that originated when you realized that it was a problem. Yeah, and I'm not expecting you to tell it here if you don't want to.
I'll tell you, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and my grandma and her sisters, they had a cabin over at Bear Lake, right on Bear Lake West, right on the Utah Idaho border, halfway up the mountain. And out on the 3rd level deck, you could see from the North Shore to the South Shore. And I had an uncle that thought it would be funny to pick me up and dangle me over that 3rd floor balcony. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't, and it locked it in. It locked it in pretty good, to the point where, because the fear of heights is the fear of falling, right, and it almost, like, the phobia is so bad that depending on where I'm at, it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
like driving across a really high bridge or something like that. I get so tunnel visioned on it and everything that I could feel myself blacking out and going over the edge. I mean, it's that bad.
I recall switching drivers with you on some significant bridges in the Midwest. You remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's no laughing matter. I mean, I know I look like I'm about to crack up, but that's only because I'm still thinking about Travis. We'll get to Travis's phobias here in a minute.
Here's the thing: I can laugh about them, and there's, like, I got stories back in, during the Olympics with the with a bet to get me to go to the corner of a building that was across from Rice Eccles. We were up there with some FBI guys and some Secret Service guys, and my partner in the gang unit. He knew about my phobia, and he was like, "Hey, I'll give you $20 to go over to the edge." And I'm like, "Nope." And pretty soon, everybody there was like, "Oh, wait, you're afraid?" They had that pot jacked up to like $600 or $700 just to get me to go over the edge.
Did you do it?
No. 9-story building, and I'm like, "Nope, no way." And they're like, "Oh, that's a."
Did it affect the job? I mean, heights come up every once in a while, No pun intended.
Let me put it to you this way, and we've all seen the stories of, somebody that scaled a Ferris wheel to rescue a child dangling. If it was me responding, I can't say that it'd be a good outcome for your child.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, it's that.
Fair enough. At least you'd be standing down at the bottom trying to catch it.
Yeah. I mean,
put your skills into catching instead of climbing. It's
exactly. Okay. Well, because if I go up that high,
right.
Sorry, but me and your kid are going to fall.
Right.
And so
everybody's got limitations, and that's not an irrational thing. Something happened to you when you were a kid.
It's kind of irrational.
Well,
think about a bridge. Okay, how many cars just inadvertently just blow off the top of a bridge?
Not very often.
Over the Grand Canyon or anything like that.
Not so much.
I haven't heard of it happening, and yet
it's in your mind.
Yeah,
and you've tried to.
I've tried therapy to do it. I've tried everything. And even my therapist was like, that is socked in really, really deep.
I think you should just grab a magic feather and jump. I think that might, but you have to flap your ears, I think.
I've had people suggest like virtual reality and like that. And I was talking to Scott about it, and he was like, well, just make sure, he goes, because this was right after surgery. And he said, don't do it until your doctor gives you the clearance, because your body thinks that you're falling, and you'll do some damage.
I would definitely be in the hands of professionals if I were to attempt that. I think you should give that a lot of thought before you.
It's just safer not to.
Or at least let's get it on film. One or the other. Like,
I'll do one of those viral videos. The guy that passes out on the.
I don't think it's
roller coaster, and
I don't think it's unusual at all to have a fear of heights. There are some more. There's some more obscure phobias out there. I'm already getting the finger from our cameraman. We won't talk about you yet. We can talk about mine for a minute, because I know he's gonna pipe up about this anyway, but I had a similar circumstance where in my youth something happened. And for me, I was on the shore of South Carolina, playing in the surf as probably a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and a live horseshoe crab scurried across my back. Now, if you've never seen one, they're about the size of a dinner plate. They look like they're helmeted. They have plates on top of them.
Is this one that is the typical cartoon, like the Tom and Jerry version of a crab?
No, this is
like pitches.
This is more like an alien cockroach from the ocean, and they have blue blood because their blood is copper based, as opposed to like every other animal on planet Earth, which is.
That's
are you looking at pictures? Oh man, they're nasty, nasty creatures. Now they use them for pharmaceuticals. I guess they have some value, but to me, they're just horrific. And I have a brother-in-law who thought it would be really funny to put me on a jet ski in the Chesapeake Bay and take me to a place called Horseshoe Crab Island and drop me off. And you couldn't see the crabs from where he dropped me off. So he just said, hey, I'll just pick you up on the other side. I'm going to, go around here. I'm like, okay. And I walk over to the ridge and there were millions of them. And I lost my mind. So it's not funny. It's to him, it was funny. To me, not so much. But I think the phobia that I appreciate the most, especially given the sheer size and presence of Travis Brower, when he enters a room, you know that he's there, is the fact that he fears the little people. Now, again, this is no laughing matter. And I'm not trying to be canceled. I think I'm using the proper terminology, little people, yes. Right? LPs. I hope so. We're probably going to get letters if I'm
the LP.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm doing my best here, and it is a special civil rights holiday, so I'm trying not to make mistakes. But listen to me, Travis has a phobia, and I know that there are stories out there about him encountering some of these folks, and I wonder what it is about him that scares him so much. I don't know. He's over there making hand gestures. That is not, I'm glad he's not on camera. That is not politically correct. You're not the, Trav, you're not alone. You're the second or third person I've met in my life who had this irrational fear. And I don't know where, and he's not going to get on audio here to defend himself. But the point I'm making is that, everybody's got a thing. Everybody's got a thing, and we're all human, and not to make light of some of these mental health challenges, but everybody's got something that they've got to overcome, and there are maybe more significant fears that we all have to overcome in the career and just life, right? So part of wellness is obviously mental health, but there's some other physical things that you've encountered recently. Yeah. We mentioned iron, and I want you to tell our listeners what you've been learning about your body here recently.
Well, it actually started when I started therapy back in 2014, and I remember my therapist a few weeks in. We were talking about some overall wellness things, and he was talking about diet and exercise. I'm like, yeah, keep going. Keep talking until you say something. This
was a mental health practitioner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And talking about the importance that stuff like that has on the mind and, chemical reactions, yada, yada. And he said, have you had your testosterone checked? And I'm like, dude, I'm like 40. And he's like, I know. Don't I have like another 20, 25 years before that? He's like, just go get it checked.
Right.
So I go up to a clinic in Draper, Ageless Men's Health, that Ian turned me on to. And I went in there and they pulled blood. And your levels are 300 on the low end, 900 on the high end. And I came in at like 178.
So basically a junior high female.
Something like that. They were like, well, you may actually feel better. And so they started on that regimen, and And I did. I felt immensely better. I was sleeping better, everything, you know, and I've been doing it since. And I about 4 months ago, my family practice doc was like, well, I want you to go off it for a month, and I want to see what your body normally produces. And I've been doing the testosterone with the HCG at the same time so that everything keeps working. And
you guys can Google it.
I felt like I got hit by a truck at the end of that month.
Oh yeah.
And so I went back into Ageless, and my buddy Nick, who's the clinical director, he goes, well, let's just pull your blood and see where it's at before we start them back up. And so he pulls the blood, gives me the injection. A little later in the day, I'm starting to feel better and stuff. I go back in the following week, and he's laughing. And he's like, bro, you set a record. Like, for what? He goes, 78.
Oh.
I'm like, 78 what? He goes, your testosterone score 78. He goes, I know women that aren't that low. I'm like,
yeah,
wow. And so I'm like, well, this is a lifelong thing. And so we had moved, and I needed to find a new family practice doc where we live. And so my wife and I found this lady up where we live. And I like going to female docs because they seem to listen better. It's really weird. It's almost like it's part of them to be better listeners than guys. And so we're sitting in there, and I'm showing her my test results and everything. I mean, cholesterol's great. Everything's great, you know, doing everything. And she goes, you know, these two numbers here, and I don't even know what the correlations, I don't know which one she was pointing to, but she goes, I want to check your iron. And I'm like, okay. She goes, are you sleeping okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm sleeping pretty good, you know, between 7 and 9 hours. And she goes, do you feel like you're rested? And I'm like, I don't want her to tell me stop taking testosterone, because I know that with testosterone there are some inherent cardiovascular risks and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take the risk. And so she goes, let's just pull it and see where you're at. Well, I got the lab results back last week, and severe iron deficiency.
Oh, she was right.
She was spot on.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't get it. I mean, I eat meat. I don't know where the deficiency is coming from. And so she put me on a iron supplement. I'm like,
you're back in business.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel rested. And so one of the things that I got from it was the need for us to pay attention to the things that deplete us, whether it's, I don't care whether it's testosterone or for women, estrogen or thyroid or, you know, iron or anything like that. And the work that you've done on yourself and with Brad, you know, and taking note of those, and it's just these little minor tweaks, but they have such a broad impact on how we live our daily lives.
Oh yeah.
And
for me, it was about reducing inflammation it turned out reducing stress. So I had to make some adjustments to my lifestyle.
Hey, I for one don't like the concept of this podcast, and I'm wondering if I'm getting punked by my wife, because she was telling me all these things last night. So
well, listen, young man.
Hopefully she's not listening, because I'm a baby. I don't need testosterone. I don't need iron. I don't need anything. I'm just in tip-top shape.
Give it a couple 30s.
Yeah, give it a couple years, bro.
She's telling me something different, but
no, you're getting close. I mean, as you approach the 4.0, that's when it starts to happen.
Here's the thing on it. For cops, we deplete through our systems faster than others because of the adrenaline and the cortisol and all that.
Yeah,
we're ramping through those.
Right.
And so we, I think our profession, we've got a pretty good denial system going on things. You know, it's, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's our type A personalities. I don't know what it is, but it's almost that invincible thing. But once I just shrugged it off and said, I don't care. I'll tell people. I mean, I opened myself up to the world on mental wellness and therapy. I mean, why should I care about testosterone or iron or anything like that?
Going to a therapist and getting the boner shot. I mean, Brent, just let it all out there, bro.
Every week.
Yeah. Good for you.
Every week.
Well, given that we're on video now, and I think, like I said, I think this is about our third episode, maybe a video, second or third. Well, we did two together, so this might be for the magic of podcast. Right. It might be the third for the folks out there. We should probably address the obvious spectacle in the room, and that would be the mullet.
Oh yeah.
What is happening there?
Speaking of your wife and how she takes news.
I'm worried about M a little bit. So
here's the thing.
What does she think of this?
With the new position as president, I figured I needed to be a little bit more professional.
Wow.
And so professional, but I'm still party out the back. And so
oh boy, good for you.
The other day I was at work and I thought, it's probably time that I clean it up a little bit. And
man.
I made a hair appointment. I told my wife I was going out to do surveillance or something like that, and that I'd be home late.
Because it's been pigtails up to this point.
It's been
right?
pigtails,
right.
Yeah, for a good 2 years. And so I went and I got my hair cut at Supercuts, and I sit down and the lady says, "Okay, what are we doing?" And I said, "A mullet." She busts up laughing and she's like, "Oh, you're serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm serious. Let's get this going." So she worked on it, and I walked into the house, and
oh man.
So when I walk into the house, I walk into the mudroom, and my wife was in the kitchen, so she didn't have a direct line of sight for me. And my kids come running up to me, and my daughter runs up, gives me a hug, and she said, "Dad, what'd you do to your hair?"
Oh no.
And I didn't answer, and she said, "Dad cut his hair, Mom." And she's like, "But just on the top." So I go walking around the kitchen, and my wife, Melissa, says, "What'd you do?" And I said, "Don't pretend like you don't like it." She likes it.
Oh,
she loves it.
There's a little trailer trash in all of us.
There is. And every time she looks at me, she just busts up laughing. She thinks it's the funniest thing. But then she keeps saying, "How long are we doing this?"
I mean, give me a break.
Oh, come on. Who wouldn't? It's a good thing you guys are separated by a table right now.
It's like the first time I shaved my head.
Oh, boy.
Katie walked in the door, and I had a hat on. And she just stopped because I had been teasing about it. I'm like, "Look, I'm losing my hair up top.
Right.
I'm not going to do a comb over. I'm not going to do anything like that. So just, I ought to do it." And when she walked in and saw that I had a hat on, she just stopped and she goes, "Take the hat off." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Take the hat off." And I pull it off, and she's just like, "Tell me it grows back." I'm like, "I don't know that I want it to."
Yeah, exactly.
And now I'll ask her, I'm like, "Hey, do you want me to try and go back?" And she's like, "No, I don't." And part of it is because there's a story about when I was working narcotics, and one of the guys that I was in there with, he had an informant, and his name was Bob, and we just called him Skullet. Because he had this long mullet, but he had nothing up top, and so it was just that crown around there. And
something for Kev to look forward to.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was beyond receding hairline. I mean, he was just flat out bald up top, and he was nasty. I mean, and I know that we're not regulated as a podcast and stuff, but some of the stories that he would tell us about his time in prison,
please
I'm like,
not even
qualifies there, and so anything related to that,
yeah.
And I think I may have shared that with Katie. And probably shouldn't have, because now if I even mention Skullet, she's like, no. So
all I'll say for those of you in the know is a hole's a hole.
Oh, it was just how matter-of-factly he said it. And I'm just like, you have to leave. And I turned to Lance, I'm like, "Gosh, we can't use him anymore."
Right.
I can't.
No.
See, but after you told me the story, I was impressed. I mean, the man is a entrepreneur.
He is that.
Or entrepreneur.
It's close to the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. We're not telling that story.
No.
No. Don't get excited for those of you that are twisted.
And there are enough guys that out there that work narcs and gangs with us that know the story, and
they'll know.
Hit them up and they'll know the story about Skullet Bob.
Well, I mean, I tried to explain this to my wife. I've also taken the shears to my head, but we're all, we're all aging. It's just part of it. And I explained to her because she was really mad at me. I mean, she took one look at my freshly shorn skull and said, "You used to be pretty." Anyway, that made me feel really good about myself. But, we age. That's just part of it. And so embrace it. But go to the doctor, go to the therapist, get your teeth checked, get a real good evaluation because it's important to stay healthy so that you can do the job. And more importantly, so that you can be there for your family. So, look, we are rapidly running out of time. We're pressed for time because we have this important engagement today, just an hour and a half away, I think. So we're gonna wrap it up here soon, but stick around. We've got another one coming up quick, and I think we're going to talk politics a little bit in the next one, aren't we?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. Oh, and maybe the legal plan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I love that topic. All right, catch you next time. Be safe out there.